Against this right back, Charlie, definitely.
Happy Friday, folks. People, Deluded, I'm back again. As usual, big up everybody tuned in, whether you're on YouTube, smash the like button, by the way, and get the creative juices flowing. Or likewise, if you're on Twitch. Twitch gang, at about 4:45, 5 o'clock, we will be playing Football Manager. Now, I hope you lot have been doing well and safe. The international break's been boring. It's never a boring one for Arsenal Football Club. We've been linked with a couple of players. You would have seen yesterday, Saka had to come off in the second half of England's defeat to Greece, potentially with an injury. I want to urge caution because we don't actually know. The ITKs of this world are actually saying Martin Odegaard is struggling with his recovery with his own injury. So yeah, the international breaks are a curse on this football club. The last one had plenty of talking points. This one's got plenty of talking points. You could probably bet your bottom dollar that November's one will have a lot of talking points as well. Is it just me, or are these international breaks annoying? It can't just be me. Again, the fixture calendar list is already condensed and congested, and there's already a lot of pointless games, and it's only going to get worse, man. I think, in the way it's going, you're going to have to let teams at least make 10 substitutions. You've got an expanded Club World Cup, you've got an expanded Champions League, an expanded World Cup, soon have a Euros. It's crazy, really and truly, especially where, forgive me if I'm wrong, but there's not been any World Cup qualifiers or Copa America qualifiers or European Championship, better yet, qualifiers. It doesn't make any sense, really. But what we're going to do, man, the fat cats do not care. Footballers are guinea pigs, people. So we'll get on to everything. Lock off the season. We can't do any of that, man. We have to keep going. God forbid, again, there's only two scenarios. The worst, which we have to prepare for it, is Saka is out for a significant period of time. The best is, it's just a precaution. I would like Saka and Declan Rice to pull out of these pointless friendlies. You've got 100% attendance where England's concerned. It wouldn't kill you to do such. Manny, shout yourself, as well as Riley, Jay, and Kay, man. So yeah, man, let's just crack on with everything, people. Now, you would have seen I've put a video out already, people, but you would have seen yesterday, Bukayo Saka, to my knowledge, isn't on crutches, isn't on any of them kind of things there. But you would have seen he was forced off at Wembley, people, and you'd imagine he's being assessed as we speak by England's coaching staff. And likewise, simultaneously, you'd imagine Arsenal's medical staff are in dialogue with Bukayo Saka, or better yet, England's medical staff, to get a diagnosis on exactly what's going on. Again, Lee Carsley hardly provided anything. He said, he's being assessed in the build up to the first goal. You could see he felt something in his leg. Well, really? You reckon? Crazy stuff. Apparently, Saka is due to undergo a scan as Arsenal wait to learn the extent of the injury that forced him off during England's defeat by Greece. The Gunners winger was substituted 6 minutes into the second half of Thursday night's shock 2-1 loss at Wembley and left the pitch holding the back of his right leg. Again, Lee Carsley's confirmed he's being assessed, people. We've gone over that. Saka is now set to undergo a scan, and a further update on his fitness is expected on Saturday, when Carsley will hold a press conference ahead of England's next Nations League clash in Finland on Sunday. So he's got to travel as well. The winger looks to be a serious doubt for the game after limping off against Greece, and Arsenal will be hoping he has not suffered any major damage. The Gunners suffered a big blow during the last international break when captain Martin Odegaard injured his ankle playing for Norway. Odegaard has not played since then and has been working on his recovery at Arsenal's London Coley training ground to get back to full fitness. Arsenal are next in action after the current international break, when they travel to Bournemouth on October the 19th before hosting Shakhtar Donetsk in the Champions League 3 days later. Mikel Arteta's side then have a huge game against Liverpool at the Emirates Stadium on October the 27th. Saka has been in stunning form for Arsenal so far this season and has 7 assists to his name in the Premier League, which is more than any other player. The 23-year-old is also ranked first in the league for both chances and big chances created. So I don't need to spell it out. It's a big blow. Injuries can strike at any time. We're going to have to get on with it. A man said, if only we had the FM magic sponge. Amen. By the way, DG, my bad yesterday. I started a heated debate about Kivior with you and Gooner Lee. Shout out Gooner Lee, that's my guy. And that's what we're here to give you lot content. You know, Gooner Lee's a madman. He's an absolute sickhead because I'm pretty sure I'm in the right because, you know, I never knew saying Kivior being a decent player would spark that. But as long as you lot enjoyed the content, no Odegaard and potentially Saka for weeks end it all. Listen, we have to calm down. We have to calm down because we don't know yet. Again, worst case scenario, Saka has to sit out for a week or 2 or 3 or 4. Best case scenario, yeah, you felt something. You don't play against Finland. You go again against Bournemouth. Now, obviously, if Saka is out, to have no Saka, to have no Martin Odegaard, to lose that creative play they've got. Obviously, with Saka being out, potentially, we lose a threat from, you know, just what Saka does on the pitch, let alone set pieces. And obviously, he's the best in his position in this league, people. And he's the best in our team, really. So, yeah, man, it's annoying because just as you start to see Moreno coming back to fitness, couple other Tomiyasu's back. We all know it's that age-old thing. When some players come back, you then see some goal, people. And it's annoying because injuries can happen at any time and players can get injured in their own house. But it's jarring that where you look at Saka with Odegaard, with I'm sure Calafiori, you know, these things haven't actually happened playing for Arsenal Football Club, if I'm honest with you. You know, Mikel Moreno, technically it wasn't playing for Arsenal Football Club. It was a freak accident in training. It's time for Raheem Sterling. Do we have any good academy wingers? They're going to have to be on the bench if Saka's injury is serious. Yeah, there's going to have to be a couple. You'd imagine Ethan could get some minutes out wide, in my humble opinion. You know, obviously we know his bread and butter is going to be in the 8 and the 10 moving forward as he develops at Arsenal, but you're going to have to keep it moving. But you're right, you know, between Raheem Sterling, Trossard, you know, Martinelli, there's going to have to be some chopping and changing, really and truly, man. We also didn't know about Odegaard's injury, and look how that came out. Exactly. I mean, that's what I said. We can only consider both sides. We assume the worst and we hope for the best. That's all we can take with it, really and truly. We're going to just have to get on with it. Speaking of Martin Odegaard, well, yeah, we've gone over Bukayo Saka. And it's sad because he's on track to smash Premier League and club records, people, as you would have seen here. The man is an assist king. You know, most assists after 7 Premier League game match days, people. You can see, you know, he's in good company with, you know, Harry Kane, Kevin De Bruyne, Paul Pogba, Cesc Fabregas, Omri, you're near, people. I'm not trying to see Sterling right wing, if I'm honest with you. I'd rather Paul Martinelli over there. I'd rather Ethan go there. But then you start to kill the partnerships, really and truly, don't you? Really. So we'll have to see. And it's a shame, man, because I love Benjamin White. I love all the options. But one thing, and I actually love Timber on the left-hand side, but one thing I wanted to see on a consistent basis for me was what Timber and Saka could do together on that right, just like with Calafiori and Martinelli down the left-hand side. It's jarring, man, but we're just going to have to get on with it. Again, I'm not saying these ITKs don't know what they're saying. I'm not saying they do. Them, man, it is what it is, isn't it? Martin Odegaard has suffered a setback in his recovery. Expectation is not set to return until December. So, you know, 1 minute we all had small hope he'd be back for Liverpool. It's not appearing the case, but again, you know, we've got to wait till Saturday at the very least to hear some sort of update on Bukayo Saka, and then from that, it's at least the following week, you know, we're back in Premier League action. You'd imagine Mikel Arteta will have to answer this in the build-up to the Bournemouth game, man. Could we not have pressured Saka into sitting out international duty? Nations League is a joke thing, anyways. I guess you can. I'm a bit conflicted on doing that. You know, if I put my fan cap on, my selfish fan cap, I'm with you lot, because you'll see it's not even that it is something groundbreaking or something that only Arsenal were doing. How many times do you see several players pulling out with illness and things? And you could argue we've done that with Thomas Partey. He didn't go off or hasn't gone off, and he's not participating for Ghana. Apparently he's been struggling with an illness. You know, Tomiyasu's not gone away with Japan. Fair enough. He's just coming back to injury from injury. Timber, yes, he's coming off the back of a big ACL knock, but he is fit and is doing quite well. He's not gone with Holland. I would have loved for Saka and Declan Rice to miss out. Both of them play a crap load amount of games for Arsenal Football Club, play for their country. In the last couple of years, even going back to Declan Rice at West Ham, they play a lot of games. I would love to, obviously, you know, not allow them to. But then I'll remove my selfish fan cap. It's fair enough to us fans. It's Nations League, it's this, that, and the other. But our career is short. You're getting the opportunity to represent your nation, which everybody dreamed of when we all. I assume everyone here wanted to be a footballer. Clearly, it don't work out for everyone. But you've got that. The players want to go as well. And I think it's techie. Now, I would like Arsenal to be a bit cute and clever and say, you know what, Saka, miss out on that one, really. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Selfishly, Saka, you're not going anywhere, but getting a cap for your country is big for players. One more injury and shots are going to have to be let off. Fair play, man. Blood on Arteta and Edu's hands. Bit harsh, bit harsh. How though? Yeah, we can say, oh, we should have done this, that, and the third in the transfer market. We shouldn't have allowed them to go. Bit harsh though, because obviously, Saka's gone and played for England. It ain't happening. A man said Kivior is no Pablo Mari. Kivior is way better than Pablo Mari. He's one of the worst centre-halves. Now, again, we've gone over Bukayo Saka. I can't imagine there's any other injury news. Kai Havertz pulled out of Germany as well, people. You'd imagine he's all right. Thomas Partey, we've gone over that. Odegaard, we've gone over that. Benjamin White, apparently he's been dealing with a groin issue just before the international break. Obviously, he didn't play for Arsenal. We hope he's all right. We hope the same with Timber. And, Zinchenko, Arteta said it would be a while, it'd be a while before he returns, but he's expected to be back after the international break. I don't think anybody's expecting to see Kieran Tierney. Neto? What happened to Neto? Well, yeah, to be fair, Neto can't be on the bench next week. Oh, yeah, shit. He can't be on the bench in the League Cup. Can't be on the bench against Bournemouth. I mean, we was here last season with David Raya with the 2 games against Brentford. Big up Kai Havertz, people, because he's closing in on a historic Arsenal landmark. Allegedly, with 7 goals in his last 7 games, Kai Havertz's recent scoring run has seen him move to the brink of club history. The German has netted in all of our home games this term so far. When you add that to his final day strike against Everton back in May, he has got on the score sheet in each of our last 7 outings at the Emirates Stadium, as well as the Toffees, Wolves, Brighton, Bolton, Leicester, PSG, and Southampton. Bloody hell, Kai. Smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't. Have all suffered at the hands of our red hot hitman this term. Imagine that. Nobody would have thought when Kai signed that would ever be a sentence used to describe Kai, making Kai just the second player to score in each of our first 6 home games in the season after Doug Lisman in 1954-55. So only Jay could know about them kind of players there. That's way before my time. Now Kai has his eye on a spot in our record books. Only 3 players in our history have ever scored in 8 straight home matches for us. And should Kai hit the back of the net on his next appearance in North London, he'll join an exclusive club. It's perhaps no surprise that our top record scorer on Re is one player Kai could match. Fair enough, people. You keep busting them records, man. That's what you want to see. Keep busting them records, folks. Transfer news is a bit dead, but, Samuel Ricky, I'm sure you was at Empoli once upon a time. An Italian central midfielder has been linked with both Manchester City and Arsenal. And apparently both clubs have Torino's talented young midfielder on their transfer list for January. I might do a scouting video on him. The Italy international is impressed in Serie A, and Torino are now anticipating offers of around 50 million euros for him when the transfer window opens again in January, with particular interest from the Premier League. Now, you have probably seen Manchester City linked with a lot of midfielders owing to Rodri's injury, been linked with Zubamendi. Now you throw him into that mix, people. Apparently, he's also firmly on Arsenal's list as they keep an eye on the midfield. As you know, Jorginho and Partey, we need more long-term options there. We have also been linked with Edison, who plays for Atalanta, folks. So we'd have to see. He's a bit lightweight, but he's doing his thing, people. Apparently, City are felt to value the 23-year-old at around 30 million. So there could be a compromise in that regards, and he could be seen as a long-term player for Arsenal side, and probably is more of a replacement for Jorginho than he would be Thomas Partey, people. When we signed Kai, I can't lie, didn't believe in him, to be honest. I said it then, and you can go back to my vids. I was not one of them Arsenal fans. Arsenal fans can be a bit weird. You've got the negative ones that, do too much. You've got the positive, toxic ones that do too much. For me, did not see how Kai Havertz got us closer to being title challengers, let alone winners. Didn't really see where he fitted in. Didn't believe he would be an option in midfield, and I guess technically he is, but we all know his bread and butter is up front. But I did say I'll give him a chance. My trust is more in Mikel. When it came to signing Kai Havertz, my trust was in Mikel Arteta. If it goes wrong, I'm going to ask questions, but you're a madman. You're a genius. I'm going to put my faith in you. If it goes left, conversations. Fortunately, Kai Havertz is doing his thing. I've actually got a video indirectly around this coming out as well, people. I was going to get it done, but I didn't have time to release it before we went live now, people. So, yeah, just need to put the thumbnail, to be fair. You can tell Saka just enjoys playing football, which is true. Now, I'm not one of these guys that does all this Saka needs rest and blah, 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 and all of this. I really don't want to get into it. I do think he needs rest here and there, but I think it's overstated. But there is one worry for me, man, because Saka's been playing really since 17. Would it be fair to say, people? Been playing bare games, and you do look at the Cesc Fabregases, the Wayne Rooneys. I'm not saying that this is going to happen to Bukayo Saka, and Saka will do well to, you know, by the end of his career to be mentioned in the same realm as Rooney and Cesc. They've achieved everything there is to offer really and truly at club level. And where Cesc is concerned, I'm sure you assisted Iniesta's goal for the World Cup. I could be wrong, but you look at the end of they both came in at 16, 17 as well. And you look at the end of their careers, by the time they kind of hit that 30 mark, they're kind of rubbed out. I hope that's not the case with Bukayo, really and truly. So, yeah, man. Sorry to bring this up, and you don't have to read this comment, but thoughts on the young Philly situation. Brother, what thoughts is there to have? Like, I don't know the ins and outs and everything that's going on, you know, but what is there to have? Like, boy, you're beaking it. Like, you did that. Like, boy, there's no smoke without fire. You're a madman, innit? We don't condone what you did. Leave the gal alone. There's too many. Sometimes I think there's too many stories, and there seems to be, even before what what you're referring to came out in the last 24 to 48 hours, there's always been little stories with that guy. Like, you're a weirdo, isn't it? So you reap what you sow. Everything you do in the dark comes to light. And again, I don't know if you did that, but it's not looking good for you, man. Saka getting hurt for a nation that hates him. Harsh, man. I still want a lot more from our top striker, more shots, more dribbles, more threat. I want him getting a brace or a hat trick every now and then. Kai's doing well, but it's only up to a point. I hear you with that, man. I think Kai's doing his thing. I think every footballer can improve and should have question marks, but to a degree, you have to accept them for what they are. Like, Kai Havertz is never going to be the most eye-catching footballer. He's never going to be a Bobby Dazzler. He's never going to be a great dribbler, a fantastic passer. But what I think he is intelligent. His movement's great. Puts in a shift for the badge. Obviously, he's quite confident in front of goal. I just think he's doing his thing. I still want to, don't get twisted, even if Kai Havertz gets 20 league goals, I still want another striker, because I think that makes the collective better, really and truly, if I'm honest. Bukayo is built different, bro. He's God's child. He reads the Bible, goes to church, eats ebo and fufu, built different. Hopefully, man. Kai's an intelligent footballer, let alone player. And credit to the recruitment staff, the coaching staff, his fellow teammates, and all of those things. But most importantly, credit to Kai Havertz, because in life, only you can get yourself out of a situation. He stopped feeling sorry for himself. He's puffed out his chest. He's making a difference. And as I keep saying, in a positive way, he's a shadow of his former self. Like, he used to be someone we had to pull along. Now he's one of the leaders, really and truly. And for me, I like the way he speaks now. Whether he gets 20 league goals or not, I like the way he speaks. He says, I want to get goals, I want to get assists, I want to do this, I want to do that. And you're somewhat seeing it correlate in terms of matches, bearing in mind we're in October now. I think it's fair to say Kai Havertz is one of the most important players in Arsenal's team right now. He's one of the first names on the team sheet, and specifically in the year of 2024. I don't think it's unfair to say he has a case to have been Arsenal's best player. For me, I'm going to lean towards the Sakas. I'm going to lean towards, a Saliba. But I think he's in the conversation. I can only comment on what I see, man. So, yeah, big up Kai Havertz. But I must admit, Mikel Arteta, you did your thing with Kai Havertz. Can we stop buying damaged goods, though? Granted, if they all work great, innit? And to be fair, you could argue Dennis Bergkamp and Henry once upon a time were damaged goods. But can we get some players that, they might need a bit of love, but they're ready to kind of hit the ground running, man? We don't always need to do this captain saver whole stuff, man, if I'm honest with you. Just watch how Bukayo rolls big men in the Prem and Champs. The kid is so strong. Not a kid anymore, but I hear you. Just joined from South Africa, DG. What's happening in the DG world? I'm just here, happy to be here with you lot. Shout out the South Africans, man. Shout out DG. You're the only one who didn't give up on Martinelli. It's close, man. I still haven't even given up on Gabriel Jesus, but boy, Gabriel Jesus, my patience, man. I have somewhat given up. It's like if I had 100 stocks in Gabriel Jesus, I've sold 90. If that makes sense. Roast beef, shout out to you, man. Apparently, Arsenal are looking at Sesko and that Portuguese striker. Who's the Portuguese striker? I mean, we're still linked with Benjamin Sesko, as you guys know, people, and that's not going to go away anytime soon. On that topic as well, apparently Arsenal have done a lot of groundwork on Benjamin Sesko transfer. Now, for me, that article sounds a lot more enticing than actually what's going on. Of course, we've done our groundwork. He's the only striker we somewhat tried to get in the summer. You're not going to bid for a player if you don't know, how good he is, how good you believe he could be. Obviously, with Mikel Arteta, a lot seems to be done on forget the ability of the player, the personality, the background, all of that kind of stuff. That's obviously been done. And it's just a case of just keep, maintaining that kind of thing going into the summer. I don't believe we're going to get Sesko, Gyökeres, all of these guys that we've been linked with going into January. I don't think we're going to sign a striker in January. Fair enough, if there's a little cute and clever deal to be done, an unknown name, or the price makes sense, fair enough. Because think about it logically, people. In itself, January is a reactive window. In an ideal world, nobody wants to buy or sell anyone. There's people's contracts running out. People want more football. If there's players that haven't got that kind of noise around them, you have to pay an inconvenience fee. What you're going to probably have to pay for Sesko in January, bearing in mind he just signed a new deal, compared to what you might get to pay in the summer, it's going to be different things. And whether it's Sesko, Vlahovic, as you can see there, half of these names, if you go and buy one in January, you don't know what could be available for you in the summer, which I'm not saying is not necessarily a bad thing. Sesko is not the player we're supposed to be looking at, in my opinion. He's a taller Havertz. I like Sesko. I'm all for it, man, really and truly. I think Sesko could be a hit. I think if Kai keeps doing his thing, bring me a Sesko. I mean, Sesko, Gyökeres would probably be my first choice target. I just think he fits what Mikel Arteta wants from a striker to a T. Bring me Sesko. The dream would be that. Just bring me a forward, innit? Really and truly. So, yeah, I'm a fan of Sesko. I still think he's clearly raw. Like, you're in your early 20s. You're not the finished article. But I think there's something to be done there, if I'm honest with you. Again, Vlahovic is still being linked with us, probably because Juventus, they're around the time now that they need to be giving him a new deal, people. So yeah, I think this is unnecessary. If I'm brutally honest, I think this is a bag of tosh, if I'm brutally honest. But last line, Arsenal still want to sign a striker, but they don't want to sign one just for the sake of it. That's why they kept their powder dry last summer after Sesko said no earlier in the window. Apparently, Arsenal relaxed over William Saliba transfer situation despite growing Real Madrid links. I mean, this is what we wanted. We wanted good footballers, right? So it doesn't surprise me to see Saliba and maybe once upon a time Saka. All of these guys are going to get linked with the pinnacle clubs of football. I believe one day Saliba will play for Real Madrid, and I hope we're going to give him a deal. I hope he achieves stuff here, but I don't think this is something pressing at this moment in time. And apparently Arsenal remain calm over it. Of course, Real Madrid, they got the stars of tomorrow, Kylian Mbappe's childhood friends over there. Naturally, Saliba is going to be of interest. He's 23 as well, where you look at the Alabas, the Rudigers, they're kind of here for the present. Saliba's the present and the future. So it makes sense. I do think he'll play for them one day, really. And they did miss out on Lenny Euro. They're still linked with many a centre-half. They're linked with that Riz guy that we're still linked with. They're linked with Romero. So I do think they have an interest in Saliba. I think it would be a dream for them. But I think it's more Real Madrid want a centre-half between January and the summer, if I'm honest with you. So I have to see what's going on there. Apparently, Arsenal continue to go from strength to strength under Mikel Arteta. And in order to keep his squad competitive for the 2025-26 campaign, the Spanish coach could add a Premier League duo valued at 80 million to his squad. We've been linked with Semenyo of Bournemouth. I think he's a good player, but I think this is nonsense. If we sign him, fair enough. But we've been linked with him and Milas Kerkez. Now, I actually think we might go for another fullback, because you'd imagine, not that Tini's, it kills me to say because a good player, but not that Tini can really be factored for this season, but Tini's going to cut soon. I think the club personally are growing impatient with Tomiyasu, not because of his ability, but because of the injury stuff. Zinchenko, unless Zinchenko turns around and he's great defensively, I think with Calafiori, obviously Zinchenko, in terms of that inverted role, he's a centre midfielder. He's going to be the best in the middle in the final third. But where you look at Timber and Calafiori, you're not really missing Zini anymore. So he's kind of become obsolete. Unless Zinchenko does an absolute madness, in my opinion, they're not going to extend your deal, which is down to the last 2 years. So you'd imagine between now and the summer, decisions have to be made. So I think we're more realistic to sign Kerkez than Semenyo, but everyone's just going to get linked with everyone. You'd imagine the minute Ethan Nwaneri turns 18, or within the next few months that follow from that point, he'd be given a new deal with probably you hope for a 5-year deal. If you're Ethan, if you're a fan, you hope for a 5-year deal. If you're Ethan, if I was his agent, I'm saying 3 years with an option of a fourth potentially, or just a 3-year outright. Just because within the next 12 to 18 months, if he continues his development, you're going to get another contract, just like what you saw with Bukayo Saka, people. But apparently, he could land a history-making contract. To be fair, you could argue he's got that already. I don't know the ins and outs of what's going on over there, people, but we did hear that, Arsenal kind of broke their structure to give him, very favourable scholarship terms, people. But Football Transfers allegedly understands that Arsenal's rising star, Ethan, on where he is poised to make Premier League history by becoming the third highest paid teenager in the league come March. Sources have revealed that preliminary talks are underway regarding a lucrative 60k a week 5-year contract designed to secure his long-term future at the North London club. The substantial deal will place Ethan on par with Manchester United's talented youngster Kobe Mainoo. Kobe Mainoo only on 60 bags. Well, after you went to the Euros and you see some of them players at United, well, you need to be pushing for, well, you could double that. You could be on 100 grand, Anyways, apparently, he currently earns 20 grand a week. Boy, it's 20 grand a week at 70. You're all right, Ethan, boy. You're all right. All right, for some, man, I wish I was in your shoes. But yeah, man, even you want to see him sign a new deal and stay at the club and do all of those good things, people. So there's that. Arsenal and Liverpool are still being linked with Omar Marmoush, people of Frankfurt, another striker that's been thrown into the realms. Not sure why he's linked with Liverpool. Maybe there's a link there. I don't know. But Arsenal need a forward. We know Gabriel Jesus, boy, you're another one that could be moved on if you don't buck up your ideas, essentially, people. Apparently, West Ham are also keen. I like what I see from this guy. I'm not moved yet to say I'm 100% convinced that he's the one for us, but fair play to him, people. Napoli director Mauro Moleso has suggested the club will be open to sell Victor Osimhen in January. As we know, he's currently at Galatasaray. I believe we should stay clear from Osimhen. I think he's a quality. I think he's a quality player. I don't think he's worth whatever they're going to ask for. I don't think he's worth whatever wages he's going to be on. I don't think his agent is worth giving them whatever commission he wants, and all of those things. You look at how many times has he played 20 plus games in a league campaign? Look at his injury record. How many times has he actually scored an abnormal amount of goals that we want? He's a quality player, but once you start to peel these things back, 25-year-old, it's not that he's a bad player. I don't really think he's worth it. And to be fair, he's doing all right at Galatasaray. He's got 3 assists and 2 goals in 4 appearances. Yeah, man, Napoli played themselves, really. That's what happens in life. When you get too greedy, crazy things happen, people. Arsenal forgotten man Zinchenko fighting for his future as he prepares to step out of shadows. Keep your comments coming, people. I'm going to get over this and we're going to circle back, people. As we kind of just suggested, the 27-year-old has less than 2 years to run on his contract. And if he does not agree fresh terms before the summer, then both he and Arsenal will have a decision to make. It's perhaps testament to how far Arsenal have come under Arteta that the prospect of Zinchenko leaving is considered a possibility. He had a transformative impact on the squad when he joined from Manchester City in 2022, which is true. He did help bring a winning mentality and all that stuff, but you're not one of the first names on the team sheet at this moment. If the sun's not shining at the Emirates, you don't want to see Zinni. And to be fair, last couple of games, the sun's been shining. You look at the Brighton game, the Southampton game, the Leicester game, we didn't need Zinni. And you don't really, you wouldn't have wanted Zinni in that. I think Calafiori is better than you. Probably when you break it down, you're better in that inverted role going forward. But Calafiori is more all-rounded. Timber's more all-rounded. It's a squad thing. If you're where Zinni is now, in the exact same kind of pecking order kind of thing you was at City, that's where you should have been a long time ago. Big up yourself for introducing us to that inverted left back role when you initially signed for the club. But time's moved on, really and truly. So it is what it is. We've gone over Saliba. Oh, close the tabs, man. Come on, man, leave me alone. How are we gonna get over it? How are we gonna go over all of this? They being closed, fella. Look, just for you. How are we gonna go over it all? Can't have your cake and eat it, fella, man. Allow me. Going back to Vlahovic again, Juventus are planning to give him a new deal. His current deal currently ties him down until 2026. That's where I believe the bulk of them rumors with being relinked to Arsenal are, if I'm honest with you, people. That's why I don't really buy the rumors full stop, but that's where I'm kind of at with it. Haaland says he does not regret much in life after throwing the ball at Gabriel's head, you coward people. And he said, it's part of football, part of sport. After the game, all that goes away, we move on, and that's it. That's cool. Gabriel, make sure you make it tough for him, regardless of if we win or City win. Come that game, whenever it is early in the season, later on in the season, you've got to come to the Emirates. Calafiori apparently said, it's going very well at Arsenal, and in 6 months it will be even better. You'll see. My life has changed being at Arsenal. I can feel the responsibility and I like it. I love when people expect many things from me. I got a lot of time for you, Calafiori. Just minor little things you can improve defensively. But I got a lot of time for you, man. I really do, man. I think I speak for everybody in the chat, man. What's Romano said here? Arsenal could spend big on a new striker in the winter transfer window, despite Kai Havertz's fantastic form, says Fabrizio Romano. Let's see specifically what the guy said, people. The North London club monitored their options during the summer transfer window, but in the end decided not to bring in a new frontman. Really? We never knew that. Last time I checked, I thought there was. Anyways, there's a possibility that Arsenal tried to sign a new striker in 2025, but it has not been decided as their full focus is on this season, and the club are very confident about the current campaign. As for Kai Havertz, I think he's been a fantastic signing for Arsenal, goals, assists and quality. He's working hard on a daily basis with Mikel Arteta's staff and is always looking to improve and get better. Everybody at the North London club is very happy with Kai and how he's performing this season. So again, I think we got done there, because I don't think we've learned anything new there. Mikel Moreno has been speaking in relation to the congested fixture calendar list. He seems quite passionate about this, I must say. He said, we have to think about it. Strikes in our sector are something socially controversial. And many people may say, how can you threaten to go on strike if you're a footballer? It's true that it must be studied. It's not a question of putting a strike on the table either. Perhaps it would be better to start by meeting and talking with the football establishments to see how to continue moving forward. Right now, the problem is being put on the table, and now we'll see if it's possible to resolve it. But what is certain is that there must be a consensus between FIFA, UEFA, and the players. I think a strike, again, to be fair, it would be very radical, but I think that's the only way you lot get what you want, because they don't care about you lot. They do not. Football has been told us they don't care about the fans. Everything's going up. They tried Super League. They're doing mad things. They don't care about you players. They genuinely don't care about you players, man. That's the only way you get what you want, because the one strength the players have, and it's not going to happen, if every player or every Premier League club said, for instance, let's just assume the Premier League has 100 games. Every Premier League player says that's irrational. We don't need to do it. If all of them refuse to play, then there's no football in it. You'd have a leg to stand on. The man also said, I think that health comes first, and we all want to reach 55, 60 years old, being able to go out running with our children, being able to play and bend down to play with them, which is true, man. My father, for example, was a footballer when I was a child, and I wanted to play with him anything. He couldn't because his knees was in tatters. I wouldn't want that to happen to me. And as for money, well, we're not going to complain about earning a little less or a little more, health being the first thing. Fair play, man, really and truly. He said, no, the more you think about injuries, the more chances you have of getting injured. You have to take care of yourself, eat, but then there's a luck factor, which is true. We're still being linked with Osman Diamande of Sporting Lisbon, people. I mean, quality player, but are we going to read too much into that? I don't know, people. But yeah, let's get back to what you lot were saying. Keep your thoughts coming, people. Again, it is nice to entertain you lot. Make sure you're hitting the like button, people. We need to get to 70k. Talk about Ben White's right back position, because I don't like the way it's heading. They're weaker defensively. Timber and Calafiori aren't silky with Saka. I think that's a bit harsh, really. And I think, Calafiori's been here for 2 minutes. He's still trying to get a relationship with his teammates. Slightly the same goes for Timber on the footballing pitch as well. He's played left back. He's played right back. I think a lot of Arsenal fans, want to have their cake and eat it. You want to cry about, not saying you necessarily, but we say we need more depth and blah, 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 and this and that and the third. Obviously, once we start getting depth, the one player that isn't involved, his days are numbered. Now, granted, if you're injured and players' form is out of this world, they might not necessarily get dropped. That's the name of the game. Of course, there is a reality where, systems can leave people, but I don't think Ben White's got anything to worry about. It's different horses for different courses. I think Timber's probably the most all-rounded fullback we have. I think Benjamin White has his own qualities. He's solid defensively. He allows us to kind of invert with a back three and let one of the left backs go on. Calafiori's a bit like an Italian bull in a china shop. Tomiyasu's more of a conservative defender. It's different horses for different courses, man. And it's nice. Well, it's not nice Benjamin White being injured, but a bit ironically, a bit like the Manchester City game where Arteta said Ben White's injured. We didn't want to utilize him, but we had to because of what happened. In fact, Timber, Calafiori and Benjamin White have all been struggling with knocks. It's been known for the last 3 odd seasons, even going back to whenever, I think it was the year we lost out on the top four. I think we lost to Spurs where we lost to Newcastle. And it's known that Benjamin White hides injuries from coaching and medical staff. And he's been playing with injuries. So it's nice that we don't have to run people into the ground. I dreamed of this, really, if I'm honest with you, man. I've got nothing to worry. I've got nothing to worry about. Of course, there is a reality where someone might not be happy with their with their level of football. And for Ben White, I think he's a competitor. I think all of these guys are competitors. Of course, naturally, you want to play every game. So make sure Mikel Arteta can't leave you out, essentially. It's as simple as that for me. If you're doing your thing, you can't be left out. And again, it's nice for Ben White because I'm not going to say he hasn't had to fight for his spot, but now any messing about, you ain't got a little exaggeration, but there's not Cedric Suarez, there's not Bellerin. You look like, raw, Timber can play left back or right back. If Timber messes up at right back and thinks, yeah, I'm back for my ACL, I'm lit now, Ben White can come in. There's a bunch of options now, man. And I just wish we could extend that all across the field, man. Big up Flawless. I hope that's the legit Flawless, man, but big him up. Imagine everyone is fit. Who is starting as your two fullbacks? It's difficult, man, because it all depends on who we're playing, how you want to set up. Right now, I'm liking the Timber and Calafiori thing, but there's games for Timber left back and Benjamin White, or Calafiori and Benjamin White, Tomiyasu coming in, even Zinni. Admittedly, I'm not trying to see that again, but even Zinni. But right now, I'm saying I do like Timber and Calafiori, and I think that's what Arteta's kind of rocking with right now. And, you know, in the sense that he keeps talking about, like, if you listen to Mikel Arteta's comments, he keeps talking about having natural footers on those sides. So who knows, man? But as we know, injuries, suspensions, all of these things play a part, really. So we're going to have to utilize the whole squad. And this is what we need. And when they needed a goal, it was Martinelli that they turned to, and the kid came on and sparked the winning goal. Very good evening as far as the Arsenal lads are involved. Amen. We need Havertz. Havertz would be a legend at this football club, but, you know, when they're saying 150 odd million euros, boy, how far are we going to be spending 150 million on that before we talk about bringing in a striker? And even the central midfielder thing, I want 2 centre midfielders, but do you need to, you know, to replace Partey and Jorginho long term? But do you even need that, really? Because, you know, you've got to keep a kind of spot fairly open for Ethan. You do have a Kai Havertz. I don't really want to see it, but from time to time can play in midfield. Maybe Mikel Arteta, Moreno's just signed. Maybe Mikel Arteta says one more, man. You man got the money, go get Havertz. I'm sure we do, but we're not going to spend... Like, I don't even know if he'll go for 150 million, but we're not going to spend 150 million on Havertz. That's before we even talk about, you know, Vlahovic. What strikers we've been linked with? Sesko, Vlahovic, Gyökeres. I'm trying to talk Isak into existence. Isak, these guys, you know what? Let's just assume Havertz costs 150. The strikers, that's going to set you back anything from 60 to 100. That's 200 odd million quid. That's before we talk about central midfielders, maybe even signing a couple of goalies. And such as Mikel Arteta, he might even scream, I want another fullback, in which the way we're moving, boy, Arteta, you can sign as many defenders as you want, man. In my opinion, Calafiori is a tall as Zinchenko, but time will tell. I think you're a bit harsh. I think he actually can defend. I think for Calafiori, for me, I think he's a bit too excited. I think he's too excited. I think he just sometimes look over your shoulder. Just do your defensive job a bit, man. I don't know about Tula Zinchenko. I mean, I ain't seen Calafiori cry. Zinchenko messed up against Salah at Anfield. He started crying. Calafiori got ripped by Salvinho. He pulled up his shorts and went and scored a cracker. I don't think he's anything like him. But I do think you can see that's a 22-year-old defender and he needs a bit of maturity. But for me, I think there's more positives than concerns. And he's been at the club 2 minutes. And if there's anything Mikel Arteta has shown where he can improve, of course he's improved attackers and that. But every defender has improved. Obviously, the jury's still out on Timber, but I'd reckon if you speak to Timber, say Mikel Arteta has told him 1-2 things. You know, Gabriel's got better and better under Mikel Arteta's time. And from the moment Gabriel signed for this club to where we are now, you could actually use him as a microcosm for where this team's gone. He's improved. Saliba's improved. In the last 3 years, he's really been in the first team before we even talk about, you need to go on some loans and get some experience. Benjamin White's got better, you know. The only one that ain't really got better is Zinchenko. And you can tell Mikel Arteta probably ain't training Zinchenko. In fact, to be fair, I do think Zinchenko's improved defensively. I just think you're there defensively. This is the bar we need you to be. You've been here defensively. You've got here. I don't think it's still not enough, really. And I think you can tell with Mikel Arteta, because when he speaks about the other defenders, he'll say the first thing of a defender is to defend first and be strong. When he speaks about Zinchenko, he don't say nothing about defending. So, yeah, man, it is what it is. Yeah, man, just give the guy time. We need an attacking midfielder, and Havertz fits that. I think Havertz would play that left eight. To be fair, Havertz can play all about the place, man. The lineup against Bournemouth could be stinky. But there's enough players to go out there and get the job done, man. I think Saka will be my personal opinion. I think Saka's going to be okay. I think Havertz is going to be okay. I think Odegaard, well, if I'm concerned about any of these guys, it's Odegaard, man, for me personally, just because I did think you'd be back for Liverpool, and again, it's ITKs. It's not come out. But to hear you're going to be back in December is a bit of pill to swallow. But you know, we want you to come back and be healthy and things of that ilk, man. There's no point coming back sooner rather than later. You get injured, we're back to square one once again, man. We need an attacking midfielder. Unpopular opinion, I believe we do, but I don't think it's a priority. I think obviously with Odegaard's injury, undoubtedly it is, but I think we need to be getting, pardon me, another left winger, because I can't assume Sterling's going to be here. We need to be bringing in a striker. We need to be sorting out, you know, the long-term replacements for Partey and Jorginho. When you pattern up all of that, go and get your second attacking midfielder, really. But I'd rather Ethan get the minutes. If you don't get twisted, you sign another attacking midfielder, I'm here for it. But who are you going to sign, really? Like, let's just assume we sign an organic, like, you see how Odegaard can play right centre mid, he can play left, but we all know he's in that 10, 8.5 position. Let's just assume we sign someone that is at 8.5. They're going to play in Odegaard's position. How much game time are you going to get? Really? Because Odegaard's the captain, obviously, silky passes, all of that. He helps us a lot defensively. Nah. But how have we disregarded the Ben White and Saka link up? No, it's still there, man. It's still there, but I'm not going to lie. I think Timber's got a bit more in his locker than Ben White going forward, man. I like Ben White a lot. And also, what we can't forget is, God forbid anything happens to Saliba and Gabriel, but you've got Calafiori, which I'm like such a defensive depth, I can't even keep up anymore. But we talk about people who can play centre half. You know, you've got Calafiori there. You know, you've got Tommy who can play there. Benjamin White who can play there. I must admit, I prefer Timber left and right back. I'm not really with the centre back thing, but you can play there. You played there for Ajax and that. It's amazing how, you know, big up Flawless, you know, the one guy that Ten Hag probably should have bought, Timber. Boy, Timber knew that guy's a fraud, really. To be fair, Timber was at Man United. He probably looked stinky as well, man. Honestly, I think Sesko can compete with Haaland for most goals in the season. Be perfect. I think Sesko's got the physical capabilities to thrive in the Prem. I think he needs some time to adapt. I don't think it's the worst option staying at Leipzig and getting another year's experience, because he didn't even start this season well enough. I'm a fan of his. I'd rather we're talking Isaac into existence. Isaac is my first choice. Then I would probably, I'm warming to, the more I see Gyökeres. Yet the goals are one thing, and really and truly, the goals is all I care about of the new striker in it. That's the only thing I want to hear. But you see Gyökeres, it's the link up play. I can, like, you fit what Arteta wants, so I'm with that. But I wouldn't mind us going for Sesko, because again, you're the only one we tried to get in the summer. Like, for all the noise and all the hoo-ha about the others, we tried the thing, so there must be something. Gyökeres is the missing piece, man. 100 piece, fam. I feel like Ethan needs more minutes against the lower table sides. Thoughts? Ethan needs to get minutes, Ethan and Lewis Skelly, but we need to get the 3 points first, man. It'd be nice, you know, like what we're seeing recently. You know, there's an occasional start here, 20 minutes there, half an hour there, 5 or 10, get your experience and keep it moving. But we just need to be getting 3 points. That's the first thing. And I'm sure Mikel Arteta, if life was fair, he wants to blood the young players. He wants to give the players on the peripheral, like the Sterlings and Jesuses, a run of games, wants to play everybody. But unfortunately, if life was fair, we'd all have a lot less. Our job is to get 3 points first, then all that other crap. And right now, the team's doing its job. We ain't been perfect, but the team's been doing its job. DG, that thumbnail of you and Gabriel Jesus. Mind games, man. You know, YouTube's full of foolishness, so I thought, let me do it. And you lot disappointed me in the chat, really, because I would have thought you lot would have clocked that it's from Baby Boy, but you know, not everyone's cultured. I reckon we could snatch Maino and Oscar Bob. I wouldn't mind Oscar Bob. We got no chance of Kobe Maino, man, if I'm honest with you. But he'd be good. He'd be good for us. Sesko is not getting anywhere near Haaland. Haaland in Bundesliga was so much clear of Sesko. We're doing too much. Welks, have we got? Keep your thoughts coming. Imagine we took Martinez instead of Timber. Thank the Lord we didn't, innit? Everything happens for a reason. I think Martinez would have played left back for us. The more I look at Lisandro Martinez, it's looking like a left back thing. It's looking like an inverted left back thing. I still think he's a good centre half, but he's in rotten form right now. He's on this just hard man pause stuff for no reason. And I think a lot of it, for as much as we talk about Lisandro Martinez, Man United cannot defend. You slap Saliba or Gabriel in that defense, they might even play a bit better, but they will look frail. That back line can't defend. United's whole ethos around defending from their strikers is terrible. Look at what Mickey van der Ven did. That's unacceptable for a club like Man United, much less in the Premier League. They don't. Man United cannot. Their whole ethos around winning the ball back, competing for the first and second balls is horrible. So you're going to see these frailties. I don't think Onana, the goalie, is anything to scream and shout about. I think he, in another world, he wants to be a centre midfielder. I think he's got serious problems saving out the back of his net sometimes. But I feel sorry for him. Yet Ten Hag is stealing and living at Man United. They can't attack, they can't defend, they can't progress play out from the back. The midfield is at 6s and 7s. You're buying all your Ajax players or people that and they're looking through how Ten Hag is still at Man United, I don't know. But I believe they should keep faith in him. As Man United fans, we used to tell us, he's got 2 trophies in 2 years. Arteta hasn't got that. Ten Hag said there's errors come to an end, let him stay there. I'm convinced the way they're moving, I'm convinced Ten Hag's he's either an Arsenal, City or Liverpool fan. 100%. 100%. I have a theory. Without Odegaard, we're attacking faster and getting transitioned on faster as well. We're conceding transitional goals because we don't have Odegaard to control our flow and pace. Let me read that again. We're attacking. I don't think we're attacking faster with Odegaard. I don't think we're pressing as well without Odegaard. In fact, tell a lie, the PSG game was the only time it felt like an Odegaard sort of press, if I'm honest with you. Right now, we've been maneuvering, man. Thoughts on Kudus? Bring him to the carpet. But, with players like Kudus, once they end up at West Ham and you start, and apparently he's got a release clause. I'm not in the know and all that stuff, but we all know once you end up at these other Premier League clubs, you're paying through the nose, really and truly. Like, I love Declan Rice, but that was 100 million. Harry Maguire cost United 80 odd million. Cucurella from Brighton to Chelsea, that was 50. Caicedo was big money. Once they end up at these clubs, you're at their mercy, essentially, man. In which I do think you can find players from all over, but a part of me just wishes, Arsenal would do what Alex Ferguson used to do in the early, 2000s, just cherry pick the best players at other Premier League clubs. If you could get a Bruno and Dream Chasing, a Bruno Gomares, Isaac, we're talking it into existence. Just cherry pick these with Kudus, these couple players, and suddenly you're lit. You're absolutely lit, man. Striker and a winger or midfield would be great. Also, all of those higher ups that make these rules and push for more games have never played football, so they can't sympathize with these players. Victor, I hear you, but you don't even need that to sympathize with the players. They just don't care, bro. They got their nice little villas in Abu Dhabi and Barbados. They're getting their money. Who cares? They don't care, because the reality is footballers are identifiable. When the Super League thing came out, it was, for some people, were moving, like blaming managers and blaming players because, they're in the public eye. People don't know. Obviously, a lot of people know what owners look like, but many people don't, in comparison to players. People don't know what owners look like. And the owners might not even necessarily be making the decisions. They might have good counsel and good executives and all these people around them. Like, the game's gone. The game's gone. And it doesn't matter what nationality these owners are, because I do think in the Premier League, there is a lot of like American and British owners versus the Middle East and all of those kind of connotations around it. But it doesn't matter. They all want to do BS. We're going to see a North London derby, and genuinely believe we're going to see a North London derby in Saudi Arabia or New York one day. They don't care. They will tell you that it's to bring the global game everywhere. They don't care about things. Look at football in itself is irrational. Look at our love for the game. I always say this to you lot. There's some of you that will leave your wives and husbands, if your girls in the chat, before you ever dare not watch your football club. You look at the cost of living. People are always going to find ways to go to matches, to pay for season tickets. If you got kids, you're not only going to buy yourself a shirt, you're going to buy a little Tommy or little Lily, full kit. You're going to do a madness. And it's probably the best industry for them to be in, man. Worker strikes have gotten us the rights we gave in the workplace. Protest the working conditions. These players create so much revenue for these billionaires. They're overworked strike. It is, but as you know, people got to be brave, man. Let's say Arsenal. I don't know who. I don't think Zinchenko will strike, but if all of Arsenal just said they're going to strike right now, there'll be at least 10 players who are like, no, man, let's not do it, man. They're scared, man. It's only going to work if everyone does it. If everybody does it. And then it raises in question, let's just say it's Arsenal versus Spurs. The majority of our first team, like everybody fit, our first team says, fuck that, we're striking. Spurs say no. So Spurs have a strong team. We've got a bunch of under 18s. Then it raises the integrity of the sport. I do think the only way to go around it would be to strike, but they're not going to do that, man. I don't mind Haaland ball throw. It was a bit cowardly to do it behind Gabriel, but I like those kind of rivalries. Gabriel just has to do his thing when they come back to the Emirates. Amen. And I do think some Arsenal fans do the woe is me thing. You can't love the dark arts from Kai Havertz or Benjamin White and then cry when Haaland does it. Really, it is what it is. He's a coward, but you know, little old Arsenal, 20+ year trophy drought. Haaland, who's won everything there is to win at club level. The way we've rattled them, and people say Mikel Arteta ain't doing something special at this club, mate. It's crazy. We've got 53 likes. Can we keep going, people? Question: if you were forced to sell one player, who would it be? Saka, Odegaard, or Saliba? Some questions shouldn't be asked. Saliba. Just because I made peace a long time ago in my heart that you play for Real Madrid one day. It's like United fans. You knew Ronaldo one day was going to be at Real Madrid. So it'd be that, really. Out of all three, I love them all, man. Yeah, B said, part of me says, you know what, Odegaard, man, I would let you know, because if Saliba and Saka could stay for the rest of their careers, it'd be great. Same as you, Odegaard, but yeah, man, I genuinely think Saliba will be our first 100 million odd sale, personally, folks. So yeah, man. DG, name one country in West Africa you would like to visit. I might be able to organize something for you, big man. My geography is poor, but is Ghana in West London? Man said West London. It's definitely not. Is Ghana in West Africa? I'll go with that, man. I'll go with that. Good questions, man. Good questions. So yeah, man. So Odegaard. I don't want to shot Odegaard though, man. I don't want to shot Saliba. It probably should be Odegaard, but I've just made peace that Saliba's gonna play for Real Madrid. I love Odegaard, man. I've been defending Odegaard, man. Like, I've been wrong about a lot of things, but I was right that Lacazette weren't going to bang. I was right to say Gabriel Jesus, there's questions. I was right to say we shouldn't have bought Pepe. I was right to say Odegaard, listen, stop talking to me about James Maddison and forget Maddison. People was some of you Arsenal fans were screaming Buendia. I'll never forget that, man. We have more replacements for Saliba. We have a lot of centre backs. You got Rolls Royce over there, though. You got Rolls Royce. If you can go to France and find me one of them next guys, cool, fair play, man. So yeah, man. Odegaard is one of those 10s that are irreplaceable. In my opinion, football strikes is a dead rubber argument. Not because I don't agree, but due to the wages, they'll never get the sympathy of the common working man, regardless of the hours they put in. And that's also true, because people like to say for these footballers, oh, you get paid a lot of money. And I think that's a British thing, because like, let's be honest, in Britain, people love misery, you know. People love misery. Especially when it comes to older folk, to younger folks, people will like to see people suffer just because they did. And you are right. That's a great point, man. Did you check the stats? Our passes before shot on goal have gone down significantly since Odegaard went. We are moving through the thirds quicker. Not necessarily a good thing, by the way. Quite the opposite. But all that tells me is that we can't be we ain't got Odegaard, so there's no point being cute and intricate. We need to work with what we've got, really. And I must admit, I do like the solutions that Mikel Arteta has found, you know, where you're seeing like a Trossard and Kai kind of swap. I need Odegaard back there, man. I need Odegaard back there. But it's not going to happen. It's going to happen. And not just the North London derby, man. Bruno Gomes ain't even good. What's this Bruno hype? He's definitely good. He's Brazilian. I'm actually confident Arsenal will win this Premier League title. I hope so, man. I hope so. I don't understand that, though, because I think it's very complex. If you're talking about winning the Premier League, like being the top, I haven't looked at the league table for the last 3 years. I actually am quite unaware of what Arsenal are doing. For me, just to see, you know, the depth improve, the manager improve, the atmosphere improve, having, you know, our game states improving, our different ways of playing and evolve. For me, you could define that as winning the Premier League. You think Kudus would accept to join Arsenal? Well, if West Ham want to get a deal done, why not Kudus? Don't think I didn't see them social media clips of you at the Emirates when we played PSG. He wants to be part of the waviness, man. He don't want to be in East London anymore. He wants to be part of what we're doing, man. He wants it. Jesus isn't the same after the injury. Doesn't have the same spring to his game, in my opinion. Same. But for me, with Jesus, I understand it. Your confidence, you know, the one kind of excuses, not even excuses, like excuses for want of better phrases. Obviously, you've had injuries. You've not had a run of games. I do think your confidence is shot. But I caveat that and say the only way you're going to get more opportunities is by taking the minimal ones you get, a bit like what Trossard had to do. And also, for me, the biggest thing with Gabriel Jesus, for me, it was a new low against Southampton. The not scoring against Bolton is unforgivable, and that's one thing. But the influence, there was a time, and granted, before his injuries, Gabriel Jesus, the only criticism we had for him is you make the easy look difficult and the difficult look easy. You're never going to be certified in front of goal. But there was influence against Southampton. There was no real, for me anyways, there was no influence. You wouldn't have known Gabriel Jesus is playing. And that's where, for me, the penny finally dropped, if that makes sense, man. Gyökeres is the missing piece, man. 100. So yeah. Yeah, Bruno can be poor. That's his business. I don't care what he's doing at Newcastle. But, you know, just because you're poor, like, form is temporary, class is permanent. No one can convince me Bruno Guimaraes is not a good footballer. I didn't say he's the best in the world and all that jazz. But, yeah, man. Have to take advantage of the opportunities he gets, and he has it. And it's a double-edged sword because, naturally, when you haven't been... Bearing in mind, you know, Arteta was gassing it, saying, yeah, you're improving, you're looking good in pre-season. And who is it? I think Theo Walcott said it's like, when you kind of have a messed up pre-season, you'll never quite, throughout the season, you're playing catch up. You're never going to quite be where your peers were, right? So that's something that's going to harm him. And also, I can't expect you, you know, you're not really got match fitness. Sometimes you don't come off the bench. You ain't had a run in the team, which I don't think you should have because the other guys are doing their jobs. I can't expect you to be, you know, you start one game, you're doing a madness. You're looking like Brazilian Ronaldo. But just a bit more, man. We can't carry passengers anymore. Like, I'll support anyone that plays for this football club. We got to keep them all to the rest of the season. But there's some very uncomfortable conversations that have to take place, really. I do think there'll be a world one day for Arsenal where, you know, you're going to have squad players on 200 grand a week, or that's where City are. That's where we're going to naturally have to get to. But, and I don't really care what a man's getting paid, but Gabriel Jesus ain't doing nothing here. You're not, like, there's uncomfortable conversations. It's not FIFA. We're not going to sell 7 players, but Gabriel Jesus, if this same thing happens come the end of the season, you might not be here past the summer. Whether we're able to sell you is another thing. Zinchenko, questions have to be asked. What's the 11 against Bournemouth? Sean, wait, I wish I had a clue. Raya, Saliba, Gabriel, for me, anyways. Raya, Saliba, Gabriel. I think it's a game for Ben White. I'm not going to lie to you, you know. I think it's a game for Ben White. I'm not going to lie. You know what? Let's take a risk. I'll change it in the week. But you know what? Timber, Calafiori, Partey, Rice, Odegaard. Might said Odegaard. Partey, Rice, Trossard. Asterisk next to Saka's name because we don't know. Martinelli. And obviously, big Kai Havertz up front, man. Go away, Prince, man. Jesus should take a loan to get his game time back. We can't afford to pay, and he can't, and he needs to play. You're staying until the end of the season, like, unless there's something that makes sense. You're staying to the end of the season, like you. If nothing more, you're a body in it. The same goes for Raza. That's why we have those funny moments in the second half, missing Odegaard to keep pass rotation, but they will learn to game manage. That's all you could do, man. Really. All we can do is, you know, use what we've got. Like, this is why, for me, I'm more than happy to talk about transfers and all this news that comes out. But we all know transfer news is all hype for one. And, well, at least until January at the earliest, like, it's irrelevant. Like, we can only use what is available, who is in the squad right now. The problem also with tired, overworked players is that squads will have a core set of players that will never get rotated because their squad replacements just are not good enough. It's true, but there's also some irreplaceable players, like a fit Kevin De Bruyne, unless Pep is feeling a bit crazy, you know, he's a madman. You and Rodri are always going to play. Odegaard and Saka are always going to play here. United, Bruno's always going to play. And all those kind of things. Agreed, I'd like to get the job done early and get Saka off at 60. And it's a crazy one. I'm always wary of games after the international break because, you know, some players have played for their country. Some players haven't played, like, kicked a competitive ball. Some players might be fatigued. I'm a big fan of momentum in the league. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I like when, especially where we're concerned, when you're winning a couple games, just get them out of the way thick and fast. I'd hate that it's like we get a bit of motion. There's a stop with the international break. You have to reset. It's jarring, man. We are finding ways to play. It actually makes for better convo, especially on the tactical front. And that's what we have to do. You know, we've adapted our press. We've adapted, you know, when, you know, we're seeing the Trossard and Havertz thing as we've referred to. You know, we're finding different ways to score. I actually feel with Odegaard gone, I don't think it's anything planned. It's probably more Calafiori. We're actually attacking down the left a bit. Just have to find solutions. Ultimately, the name of the game is to win. Get 3 points. And that's what we need to be doing. Is Edu going to meet Gyökeres' agent? True. I don't know where you heard that. I can't verify, man. I wish I could speak to Edu on the phone. I don't know, man. I don't know. You'd imagine not just Edu, and I'm not saying necessarily him, but you would imagine half of, you know, the technical directors and all of these things, you know, they're talking with potential targets. Now, half of the signings we see in the summer, talks have taken place. They're taking place around now, funny enough, in my opinion. completely off topic, but I've just seen on Twitter, Joel Matip, who recently left Liverpool, has decided to retire from football. Damn. And Claude Makelele, who just left the club in Greece, is in talks to become Cardiff City manager. Crazy, man. Crazy, crazy. And we was talking about Kobe Mainoo. Apparently, he's close to sign a new contract with Man United and will receive a salary increase. Yeah, man, you should be on a lot more than 60k a week, if I'm honest with you. Apparently, Chelsea could allow Mudryk to leave on loan in January as the winger bids to rekindle his form. What form? We haven't seen any form in England of this individual. Wow, he had a little dribble at the Bernabeu. Crazy. So Mainoo versus Calafiori is going to be a horror. That's why I'm tempted. No, I don't think I'm not really scared. It is what it is, but that's why a part of me thinks, you know what, you slap Timber over there? Because I do think Bournemouth's a game where you need Benjamin White, man, because Bournemouth play good football. That Areola guy, they play good football. They're on the front foot. They will, you know, both Arsenal and Bournemouth, to be fair, they can take advantage of opposition's mistakes or lapses in concentration or gaps on the transition. Bournemouth play good football and it's at their place as well, man. And, you know, last season, there were a couple of away games. As great as our away form was, there was a couple where we had to slug through it. Luton comes to mind. I think Brentford comes to mind. I'm sure Kai Havertz scored in that game and Ramsdale looked shaky. I might be making all of that up, but I'm sure. So, yeah, man, just win the games, man, really. Who have we even got after the international break? I mean, what? We got Bournemouth. We got no order. We got Bournemouth. We got Liverpool. Got Preston. I'm pretty sure you got Shakhtar Donetsk. So, yeah, ideally, you know, I know it. Well, I don't know it, but to have one loss in 2024, and that was last season. I want to go. I want to go the whole year with only that one Villa loss. Like what? After the international break, we recommenced the Premier League against Bournemouth. Then we got Shakhtar. Then we got Liverpool. Then we got Preston. So we've got 4 games of October. Then November's not easy, not kind at all. You know, we've got some difficult away tests. You got Newcastle away, trip to the San Siro in Inter Milan away. You got to go Chelsea away. We then play at the Emirates against Forest. Sporting Lisbon's quite kind of scary, man. Our last 2 trips to Portugal haven't been kind to us in Europe, man. Bournemouth is that team that could bop anyone. Very good team. You just have to take your chances because they will have lapses in concentrations defensively, man. But we just have to get it done. Why Arsenal fans don't talk about Sterling? Just wait. He's going to show up in January. I hope so. I like Calafiori as a precursor to this comment, but he gets dribbled past too often for me. Timber and White are still my backs, think me fullbacks. Yeah, Calafiori needs to improve defensively. It's not even need to improve defensively, but I think sometimes you drop off too much. Sometimes you're a bit too aggressive. The Leicester goal, where take nothing away from James Justin, it's a peach of a goal, but the build up to it is horrible, man. You know, Calafiori is completely unaware. But I think there's more positives than negatives, man, and I think he'll become a bit more all-rounded. But games against Bournemouth, I'm leaning towards Timber left back, Benjamin White, but it is what it is. I'm hoping we've pulled Saka from the England camp. I mean, it doesn't appear that there's any news on that front at the moment, but yeah, I would like to see that as well, man. Saka, come on, man. Saka's probably not even downloaded an illegal song in his life, man. He's probably not that kind of guy, but yeah, Saka, it's time to tell a little bit of a white lie. Even if you know in your heart you're not injured, come on. Club before country, man. Club before country. Move like them Liverpool done. So yeah, it is what it is. But with that being said, though, folks, I don't want to take up any more of your time. So yeah, appreciative to you lot's conversations, differences of opinions, questions. You lot know you make the platform. If you haven't smashed the like button, make sure you're doing such. Turn on your notification bells because there's always videos. Twitch gang, before 5 p.m. we will be live to play Football Manager. So yeah, make sure you're there. You lot stay safe, stay blessed, enjoy your weekend. Hopefully I've given you some decent content. Peace.
Like